Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, awaken the consciousness. Mr. Benny, it's starting to get crispy.
It
outside.
is. And it's
Coldy.
officially, I would consider this, since we're going to have a little bit of a cooler next couple of days, a frost. I'll put the frost out there, some frost on the pumpkins, because it's National Pumpkin Day.
Woohoo!
So how appropriately said
Yes.
is that, right?
I love that. Thank
Right.
you.
So cover your pumpkins.
I will cover my pumpkins.
Cover your pumpkins. Okay.
Put their little warm fuzzy blankets on them.
That's so cute. Although it will be a very nice weekend here in the Pacific Northwest and the Seattle area. So I think all of the pumpkin patches will be slammed. So it'll be a good thing.
I think it's going to be a really good thing. For all the pumpkin patches. Somebody sent me pics. They had put little pumpkins out and they put googly eyes all over them. And
it's the best.
That the googly eye thing. I do love googly eyes.
Yeah, it's always good. The kids and I, we still do the pumpkin thing. It takes us a while to get our creative juices flowing, but once one person starts their carving it, and then of course it's a madhouse. And I still do the whole roasted pumpkin seeds every year. I don't know if you do it too, but yeah, it's always my favorite treat.
I do. I love pumpkin seeds and roasted pumpkin seeds for sure.
Yep. Do you have a little tip for anyone? Or I should say, what's your favorite recipe? Or do you just do it stock, like just a little butter and that's it?
We do a little bit of butter, and then sometimes we make them spicy. Like sometimes we separate it out and do different. Like these ones are going to be kind of plain, and these are going to be a little bit spicy. We can put something on them, right?
Yeah, totally.
And my son's all grown up, but we still do it. He does it, and then we have the great pumpkin, the pumpkin seed cook-off,
bake-off, I guess.
A bake-off, I guess you might say, right? Like, okay, let me taste yours. What'd you do with them, right? So that's kind of what we do.
That's fantastic. Real fast, I'll let it go. Just one more pumpkin fact. I guess the world record was broken this year for the largest gourd, and it came in just under 2,800 pounds.
Wow.
That's a lot of pumpkin pie. So.
Whoa.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a picture of that thing. How big was it? Did they say
you could definitely get an idea, and if you just Google it, you'll find it. But I'm just saying, I guess it broke a record already from I think 80 pounds, something like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
That's incredible.
What people can do with Mother Earth, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
And so we're coming up to All Hallowed Eve, and we've got all kinds of stuff going on. So let me dive into it real quick. I've got a great guest coming up, and I'm just going to check in with astrology before I bring him on. Just a little note, I am the owner of Reiki Oasis, located here in the greater Seattle area for the last 28 years, I think it is. You can find out more about me at ReikiOasis.com, or sign up for everything at schedule.ReikiOasis.com. And yes, I will be taking my sacred group of travelers to Egypt, and we're going to be taking over wonderful thoughts and blessings of peace and prayers and healing and all of that sort of thing. So you can light a candle for us, send us goodness, and I'll tell you all about it when I get back. So goodbye to Libra. Hello to Scorpio. Yep. Which began on October 23rd. Some people are already feeling it. It came in a little bit heavy, but we are right in the middle of this eclipse season. With the sun in Scorpio and the eclipse energies rolling in, we might feel like things in our lives need to change. It's a great energy for my guest. We may be actively making changes or still mulling over what exactly needs to shift. And this is a power time in the year when we may feel uncertain about what's ahead, but certain that we can't keep doing things the way we've been doing. So on Saturday, big thing, October 28th, we have an ultra powerful full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. This ends the eclipse cycle that began in the end of 2021. So you can think back a couple of years. What's been going on in your life since that time? What challenges have been there? How have you grown? How has your life evolved? Yeah, this eclipse cycle is now delivering its final messages, its final lesson, and its graduation point, if you will. The energies around this eclipse are supercharged. So if you're sensitive, like I am and my guest, you might be feeling it in your own way. And it's going to bring us to a closure point with something in our lives. And if something exits your life under this eclipse, take it as a sign. Trust that whatever you feel ready to walk away from is actually dissipating, and the eclipse energy will help us shed it and let it go and move through it so that we can create that space to enter into the new. I always love that idea of the new. Under this eclipse, we may experience themes around money, our self-worth, and what we truly value, as well as our own self-value. We may find ourselves needing to rethink what we've been giving our time to and what we wish to create in our lives moving forward. And while the eclipse energies can be challenging, they can also be incredibly empowering. Eclipses help us to leap forward on our path, and they're bridges to a higher path and powerful tools of transformation and change. During this particular potent eclipse portal, you're transcending what I call survival programs embedded in our ancient selves and our old urge and old fear-based templates and collective matrix, which are dissolving now. They're going away, and we're turning toward the energies of abundance, love, and freedom, which are actually being activated all the way down into your DNA. So there's this fresh new energy coming in. You know, our great Mother Earth that we walk around on, she also is affected by these things. And I always encourage people to ground very deeply. During times of change, let's become stable. Let's be that force of stability. So as you anchor into the new foundations based upon love and stability, give gratitude to the beautiful land which you've chosen to come into, gratitude to your sacred vessel that is going through all kinds of things, right? And working our way through many, many bits of distortions, personally and collectively. So trust in the knowing that all is working out in your favor, and turn toward that light, and obviously get help if you need help. We will begin November on the coattails of the October 28 Taurus lunar eclipse, and the energies of this powerful eclipse will be in play through all of November. But they will begin to fade about halfway through November. So there's no doubt that the first few weeks of November are going to continue this transformational energy, but just utilize it. I really, really, encourage you to do that. I do want you to have fun this weekend, but do be aware of the intense energy. So having said that, if you're tired of putting off your dreams, you want to really utilize these powerful energies and the cosmic skies, you're going to really want to listen to my guest today. Art Giser is the creator of energetic NLP, a groundbreaking methodology that empowers people to unleash their fullest power and tap into their miraculous self rapidly and effortlessly. Art is an NLP trainer, a medical researcher, a healer, and intuitive, and a leadership and team specialist for major corporations. Art is not only well known internationally as the exceptional teacher and mentor, but also as a beacon of inspiration and empower, a beacon for those individuals seeking to rewrite their lives and narratives. Art, you had no idea what you were in for. Welcome to my show today.
Oh, it's great. I love the beacon, particularly. I'm not very vertical, so that's particularly fun.
I think your red shirt kind of takes care of that too. The beacon of light.
You are a beacon. I love it. So yeah, wherever you go, the lighthouse. Art, there you are. Yeah.
It's funny you would bring that up. I won't go into it now, but I do have a whole thing about lighthouses, so it's pretty funny.
Imagine that. That's how interesting. I'm thrilled to have you on the show. I'm fascinated with your work. Could you please just kind of jump in? What is NLP, and what is energetic NLP? Let's just start right there.
And thanks. I will start with NLPs because
Okay.
NLP is a part of energetic NLP, but not the whole thing. And NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. And for the people who've never heard of it, it's had a huge influence. But you've heard of our most famous person, who is Tony Robbins. Now he has his own way of doing things and rah, and like he says, he'll dominate you into changing and stuff. So that's Tony, and you like it or you don't. But the core of his power to transform people's lives comes from NLP. And I think he started about a year or so before I did, and did a little better with the marketing. And
was he taller, Art? Was he more vertical? No, never mind.
Vertical, actually.
Sorry about that.
I was on stage with his son once, and his son is also like super tall. Yeah, Tony's very tall.
Oh, goodness.
NLP was developed as a way to make rapid, deep personal changes. And it's very powerful, very magical in what it can do. And I was lucky enough, when I was studying NLP, it was in Marin County, which is on the other side of Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. And in Marin County, if you throw a rock, you hit a life coach, a yoga teacher, a Buddhist, a psychic. And so there were people in the program who started teaching me more and more about using energy work and psychic development, and introduced me to my early teachers. And I realized that you could do all this miraculous work with NLP, and like anything, it had its limitations. And you could do a lot of miraculous work with transformative energy work. It had its limitations. Same with spiritual principles. And so in an earlier podcast, I heard you talk about alchemy. And I think I had a past life as an alchemist, because I'm always like, even when I cook, it's like, what if you put some of this in? What will happen? So it's natural for me to go, well, what if you took some NLP and some energy work and spiritual principles and started mixing them? And that was the birth of energetic NLP, that brings together the NLP, spiritual principles, healing and transformative energy work, psychic development.
Yeah, I have studied a little bit of NLP, and I have always felt that it was magical. And I can easily see you as an alchemist, or like a Merlin. Like, I can easily see you going, let's just move this energy around here. So anyway, yeah, there's a wonderfulness to it. But could you tell us a little bit, before you go into a little bit further about the energetic NLP, how did you end up doing all this? Because you've been doing this, what, 40 years or something? You've been on this path?
38, 39. Yeah, no, probably about 40 years, really. Yeah.
Oh, so we started our thing about the same time.
Oh, wow. Interesting. It's really interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Huh.
When I was really young, I was interested in two things. I wanted to be a scientist when I grew up, but I also was interested in the powers of the unconscious mind. And I knew that psychic things, ESP, telepathy, I just knew they were all real. And even in elementary school, I would be hypnotizing my friends and cousins, and some of my cousins still laugh about it. And in fact, my mom has this great story. My mom always trusted me. And so we're in the library, and I'm trying to check out a book on hypnosis. And I don't know how old I am, but I'm really young. And the librarian wouldn't check it out to me. So my mom checked it out for me. And my mom said the librarian gave her that "you're a terrible mother" look. And then I was always interested in all this, but I never went deep. And I was interested in Eastern religions, which when I was young, nobody was talking about that. But I never went that deep into anything. And in college, I majored in biology. And by the time I was done, I realized, I liked science, but it wasn't my path. But I was one of those people who had no idea what I wanted to do. And back then, most people thought in terms of you had a career for your life. You might change jobs, but you had your career. And there was nothing I wanted to nothing was calling to me that way. But I'd always had this knowing that something was going to just appear, and that would change everything. So I thought, well, I don't know, maybe I can get a research job. So miraculously, I got hired to work in a research lab in the University of California Medical School in San Francisco. And it was one of those things I couldn't believe they even hired me, because I had minimal requirements. And by a couple of years later, I was managing it. And I was proud of what we were doing. We were looking at the effects of estrogen and progesterone on during pregnancy and how the mechanisms worked, and what people would now call epigenetics. And I was proud of what we're doing. I worked with great people, yada, yada, yada. I had true love. Everything in my life was fine, but I knew I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, but I didn't know what it was. And I started actually feeling kind of bad about myself because, like, what's wrong with me that I can't make a decision here? And I went to a talk on intuition, which was just okay. And they had a table where they're selling all these books on intuition. And during a break, I went outside and I was looking at a bulletin board with flyers, and for younger people, pieces of paper before there was the internet that people put on bulletin boards telling you about things. And yeah.
I'm sorry, we're probably about the same age. I'm just laughing so hard. Yes, please keep talking. I'm loving it.
Kind of like, we had our ox carts, but and there was a poster that said, a flyer that said neuro-linguistic programming. And I read the words, and literally it felt like a bolt of lightning hit me on top of the head and went through my body. I mean, it was like boom. And I'm kind of like, what, the scientist in me was going, what was that? And the mystic in me was going, what was the sign? What do you think it was? So I go back in and I'm kind of stunned. And I look at the books on the table, and all the books are about intuition, except for one book isn't about intuition. It was about NLP. And I thought, okay, this cannot be a coincidence. So I bought the book. Everything in my life changed. And then because of the people I met from the program, they started teaching me more about energy work and introduced me to my first teachers. In fact, I've realized that other than falling in love, every big positive change in my life was because I took some kind of course, workshop course, read a book, that had it. Almost always it was because I had a fantastic teacher, every pivotal point in my life.
Wow. I love your story so much. I'm always interested in what I call synchronicity, serendipity in people's lives, where there is this knowing, like you said, knowing, like life's good, but there's something coming. Also, I love this thing where you're like, there's all these books on intuition, and then there's this one book that is flashing, read me, right? So you followed that path, and here you are. As a person who does a lot of intuitive work and also energetic work, I agree with something that you said earlier. I have felt like my whole life I've been on kind of a journey of finding what is that one little piece that if we put that in there, that all of a sudden it goes, right? Because so often in the work with people, you run up against resistance or blocks or too much ensconcement in the story of what's going on. So having laid that as a little bit of a platform, I know you can build on that. Talk about how your work kind of does this differently. Yeah.
Well, let me start with what you said about people getting into their story. And
sure,
I frustrate people at first because, we're also taught we have to analyze everything. And one of the things one of my NLP teachers once told us was that she goes, the main function of your conscious mind is to make up logical reasons why your unconscious mind did something.
I love that.
Yeah. And I would add in also making up, because most of us aren't thinking in terms of karma, spiritual contracts, energetic programming, ancestor programming. We try to make up reasons why we're doing things, but we don't have enough information. We're leaving out what's actually very important. And so, often when people work, they want to tell me their story, and I often tell them there's kind of a graph. The more you're talking, the less you're going to get out of this. It's like, tell me a little bit, and then let me ask you questions. Let me read your energy, ask you questions, and because you already know how you think it works. And if that was the answer, you wouldn't be here. So let's look for what we're missing, And so in my work, one of the first things we do with everybody is we have them create what we call your miraculous self, which is this unique concept to energetic NLP. And I always have to tell people it's not your high self. Your high self just exists. Your miraculous self, it kind of sort of exists, but not really until you work with it. It's like a muscle in the body that you rarely or never use. So it's there, but it can't really do anything. But you start working with it, it gets strong, it gets supple, and it can all of a sudden do magical things. And your miraculous self is formed when your spirit, with its vast perspective, and your deep inner human wisdom, with its very practical perspective, join together to guide you, nurture you, heal you, and help you manifest your life. And the reason why that's so important, and I always have to explain what I mean by the word spirit, because it means something different to to almost everybody. And the individual spirit versus the individual soul is another thing. And people use the terms oppositely. So I apologize to people if I'm using them oppositely for their thinking. What I'm calling your spirit are the higher frequencies of your non-physical self. The higher frequencies of your non-physical self. So you can think of them as higher up above your head. And what I'm calling your soul is the lower frequencies of your non-physical self. And you can think of it, around your crown and closer to your head.
Yeah.
And I don't mean lower as inferior, just higher, lower. And the way I see it, and I always like to tell people, this is just the way I perceive things. I'm not saying it's some ultimate truth, but it's a really useful model. When you get into the higher frequencies, you get into like the perfect parent, where your spirit's going, well, whatever you want, dear, because it sees so many different things as valid spiritual paths. So to your spirit, your spirit loves you and cares about you, but your spirit can go, oh, you want your heart broken? Well, that's a valid spiritual path. You want to feel loved and acknowledged? Well, that's another valid spiritual path. And I'll support you whatever way you go. And your spirit, knows the big perspective, how your life fits into the whole unfolding of the universe. And I know for a lot of people, like my life, it's part of the unfolding of the universe. Even somebody drunk in the gutter is part of the unfolding. We're all doing this together, no matter whether you ever figure out the importance. I always like to say there are no extra people on the planet. Everybody's here doing their part of whatever the big mystery is. But what I'm calling your soul, these lower frequencies, it's closer to your personality. So your soul has wants, needs, fears. It brings in things from past lives. We're like, oh, don't be public with that, because you remember, don't develop your spiritual abilities because you got whacked last time. And, so it has all this stuff that isn't necessarily relevant, just like your conscious and unconscious mind. So your miraculous self is your spirit working with your deep inner human wisdom. And your spirit can be going, oh, that's a valid spiritual path. And your deep inner human wisdom can go, is there a more enjoyable way to do this? More loving. It's like, yeah, I know having a horrible disease, it will grow me spiritually, but can I do it another way? And
yes.
And not this kind of new agey, like, oh, if you just think right, nothing bad will ever happen. That's not a human life. But the Dalai Lama talks about natural and unnatural suffering. And natural suffering is we're in bodies, people we care about in bodies, things happen. Unnatural suffering is all the karmic and unconscious and programmed things that we create that didn't need to be there. So the goal in energetic NLP is to clear out, heal karma, clear programming, change spiritual contracts, and update all of that with wisdom and knowledge and concepts and abilities from your miraculous self, and then tap into our ability to work with earth and universal energies to manifest and heal ourselves and others if we choose to, and the world if we choose to.
Wow. You said so many good things. I was scribbling notes down, so I do that because I like to draw off of what you're saying, right? This whole thing though, like a lot of people do this. I can't tell you how many times people will say to me, they're talking about their unnatural suffering, right? And they're like, why is this happening to me? Why is God making this? Why am I suffering? Do I have to suffer? I've been such a good person, right? And there's something else obviously going on here, right? That's a little bit deeper. And if I understand correctly, you have been working with people to help. I don't even have the right word. I'm going to use the word unlock because that's what's coming to me, to help unlock themselves, I suppose you might say, or that gate and step through. Would that be a way to say it, maybe?
You said that really well. And so a
Okay.
lot of it is after you do the clearing, bringing in more of your true essence.
Yes.
And very much
Yeah.
it's unlocking your abilities and then unlocking your connect. So I don't think that it's wrong or bad that we have all these problems and blocks. I think my understanding, Ganesh, that elephant-headed Hindu god,
Yeah.
he's the remover of obstacles. But I was reading one time, and it said, but he's also the one who puts them there for your development.
Yeah.
And so,
Om Gam Ganapata Ye Namaha, right? Yeah. Yeah.
so in energetic NLP, we use the word blocks but we don't mean them like they're bad or wrong. That
Right.
somehow they're there for a purpose, and I know you know this. And that when we go like, okay, well, but do I have to keep doing it that way? And the answer is usually no. That most of these things we're done with, but both energetically and unconsciously, programming just doesn't typically go away on its own. You have to actually, like with a computer or something, you have to actually take the programming out or heal it and dissolve it, which is easy actually. All of it, I think to me the cosmic joke about energy work and stuff is that it's really incredibly easier than anybody thinks it is.
Well, I got to tell you, I was working with someone the other day, and I kept having the image of the ruby slippers, where she's and they're like, "You've had the power all along," and she's like, "What?" And they're like, "Just look at your shoes, right?" Which is why I wear high heels. But anyway, there's that, right? I am loving this conversation so much. We have so much more to talk about. We're going to take a little station break, but Art, I got to tell you, because I was laughing, so I was laughing about your story because, sometimes people reflect each other. And when I was a little girl, I was always like, my poor little brother, it's a wonder he's still alive. I'd be like doing eye fascination. Follow the, you will go down sleeping. Anyway, foreshadowing. Anyway, my amazing guest today, who's putting up with my silliness because the energy of playfulness is here with you, is Art Giser, is the creator of energetic NLP. And oh my goodness, don't go away, because if I can talk Art into doing a little bit of something with us on the air, I have a feeling he would be willing to do that, and you're going to really benefit. So we're going to take a little station break. It's Loretta Brown. We'll be right back.
All clear. We can be. Okay.
I'm okay. You're not okay. It's normal to have diarrhea and stomach pains. Sometimes, but not as often as you do. I've got this under control. No.
Let me know when you're ready to come back. All right, stand by.
Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show. And in case you wondered, I am the original Loretta Brown in so many different ways. Anyway, I'm a wonderful guest today, Art Giser, the creator of Energetic NLP. I want to remind people these shows are archived at the KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown Show. You can download them and listen to them. We're also on iTunes, Podcast One, Spotify, Megaphone, Twitter. Oh no, it's not Twitter. It's X. Excuse me, and many other platforms. So please go check it out. And there are literally hundreds of shows. I've been on the air for quite many years. So anyway, welcome back. Such a wonderful discussion about energetic NLP. And I was telling Art during the break, I am absolutely fascinated with this work because I know that it is very effective. And gosh, anybody can do it. Anybody can learn it. During the break, I brought up a subject that I'd like to touch on briefly, and that is that in our journey, in our healing work with ourselves or with others, there are many people who talk all the time in their stories about external forces such as dark entities or spirits or curses or black magic or things like this. And it's easy to get over focused on these things. For me, it's like they go into hypervigilance. But can you touch on that subject a little bit, Art? Yeah, I'm just going to let you run with that.
I think it's such an important subject. It's people get so focused on that. And a couple of principles, something I was taught and that I believe is that everyone is the sovereign of their own energy field. So people talk about energy vampires and dark forces, and I understand why they see it that way. But if you're the sovereign of your energy field, for something to be affecting you, it has to be hooking into something of yours. Otherwise, it couldn't do it. In fact, it was funny, you brought up the Wizard of Oz earlier, and there's a scene in it where Dorothy's land in Munchkinland, and her house has killed the Wicked Witch of the West. And so the Wicked Witch of the East shows up.
By the way, I live in the Emerald City. Seattle's called the Emerald City.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We're in the West. Just saying. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, it's funny.
And the Munchkinland is ruled by Glenda, the Good Witch. And so the Wicked Witch is threatening Dorothy, and Glenda just looks at her and goes, "You don't have any power here, be gone." Just like that. Not like, "You don't have any power here," but coming from full knowledge of power, going, "You don't have any power here, be gone." And it's very much like that. Things can't affect you unless they're hooking into something of yours. Now, there's a lot to hook into. There's unconscious programming, energetic programming, karma, past life stuff, ancestral things. But when you start using anything that you're interacting with as a way to find what in you to be cleared, and there's actually very easy ways to clear it, then it actually becomes a gift. So that's one principle, is that, and to give an example of it, I used to go to this spiritual center in Brazil, and people talk about being in the bubble, the whole area around the center, the energy was really strong. And I don't know if you've ever had dreams where they're kind of like a movie. And I'm not sure if I was the main character or watching the main character, but it had like a whole plot. And there's this young guy, and he's trying to escape this evil sorcerer. And wherever he goes, you don't physically see the sorcerer here, but he starts affecting everything energetically. And he keeps going, "You can't escape me." And this keeps going on. And I woke up and I thought, that's the weirdest dream. I was fully awake, and all of a sudden the voice in my head goes, "You can't escape me." And I feel all this negative energy in the room. And I don't even use the term negative energy, very unpleasant, very nasty kind of energy. And so I'm starting to clear, okay, what in me is allowing this? So I'm just clearing that. And finally I got fully awake, and I just said to the energy, "I'm not giving you any power. It's like, I don't care if you're in this room or not, because you're irrelevant to me. Mm-hmm. You don't have any power." And was gone. So so one part is not giving them power. The other part is, so it's clearing what in you is getting activated, not giving them any power. But the other thing is, in my opinion, most of what people think are angels and demons and all of that are just what are called thought forms. And for people, I know you know what they are, but thought forms are energetic formations that energy follows your thought and intention. So people think things. So if you think about the devil, you actually can create images, and they're kind of like movies, but they're also a little bit like AI. They can interact with you and stuff, but they don't have a soul. They don't have a spirit. They're just energy. They're no more. They're real in the way a movie is real, and they only have power because they can scare us and give us power, and we give them power, I should say. So one thing that you can learn is if it's just a thought form, you can just dissolve it. If it's some kind of a being, then it's just about going, okay, what in me is it hooking into? And then it becomes a gift because you just clear whatever that is. But like you, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about dark forces. And I teach sometimes at the College of Psychic Studies in London, which is a wonderful old institution. And they're not doing anything dark there, but they've been doing seances and stuff there for many, many years. So there's a lot of interesting energies around. And when you're teaching them, you can stay there. It's an old Edwardian building. And some people won't even stay there overnight because it's, and I love staying there. And it's just, people go, and I'm not the only one, but I love staying there because I focus on the energies I like, and the other energies, kind of like Glenda, I just go, I'm not giving you any power. And again, they're not evil or bad. They're just not desirable, some of them.
Yeah. Yes, I love everything that you just said. I tell people all the time, I think we can become, number one, we can become hypervigilant for a variety of reasons, but we can also become so over-focused on looking for that thing, that dark thing, or that negative thing, whatever you want to say, outside of us, that we, some of the laws of energy, what you focus on, you will experience, what you're looking for, you will find, and also you will add energy to it. And I'm like, years ago, my father was a great one for having me read all these books like The Power of Positive Thinking and The Game of Life and all this kind of stuff. And I can't remember which author. It was Wallace Wattles, who said there's a substance in the air all around us waiting for us to have a thought so it can form itself into something. And I went, man, that's it right there. So yeah, you can read Wallace Wattles now. The Science of Getting Rich. Anyway, so with all of that, I would like to give you some time on the show. If you could take, me and the listening audience through some kind of a little process here.
I would love to. Let me just give a caveat. If anybody's listening to this when they're driving, either pull over or turn it off, even if it's the recording later, because if you're watching this later or listening to it later, if you pretend it's happening right now, you will access the energies. And I work with a whole symphony of energies. Some of them are very high frequency, and they tend to put people in this dreamy, altered state, which makes it easy to let go of old programming and conditioning. But it's not the way you want to be when you're driving. So if you're driving, turn this off or pull over. Let me just see where I'm guided with this. So let's start by creating your miraculous self for everybody. And this is so easy that a lot of you will refuse to let it be easy, and you'll try to make it hard because we're so trained. As you mentioned, energy follows thought and intention. In energetic NLP, you set your intention, you give permission to receive the benefits, because just this, you can have an incredibly strong intention. That doesn't mean you're giving permission to receive it. So it's intention, permission for your miraculous self to be in charge. And then the last of the magical ingredients is imagination. So what happens for a lot of people is when the energy starts flowing, they're going, am I feeling this? Should I be feeling this? Should I be feeling something different? Am I doing this right? And if you do that, you'll get much less out of it. And you don't have to suppress that if it's going on. Just turn down the volume and bring out your playful inner child. If everybody was 5 years old and I went, fill the room you're in with sparkling gold energy, you would. We'd all have to put on our sunglasses. So while this is going on, you don't have to believe anything. Just pretend it's working. Then later you can analyze it. So we'll start by creating your miraculous self. And it's as easy as set your intention that you want your spirit and your deep inner human wisdom to form your miraculous self. Your spirit knows what it is. You don't have to figure that out. Your deep inner human wisdom knows what it is. Your essence knows what it is. So let go of figuring anything out. Just set your intention that somehow miraculously, your spirit, your deep inner human wisdom right now are forming your miraculous self. And then give 100% permission for that to happen. And then imagine it's happening. Take an easy, deep breath. And now just pretend, imagine that you have a miraculous self. Now, and I invite you to give your miraculous self permission to be in charge of what happens next. So let the energy in your miraculous self do all the work. And we're going to do a clearing of blocks. And then your miraculous self will give you a download to replace it, because you always want to replace it. And the download will be wisdom, knowledge, concepts, skills, abilities, attitudes, and behaviors from your miraculous self that will make your life more successful, happier, more loving, whatever's on your list, healthier, more vital. And I don't usually teach this as a beginner thing, but let's try it out. And it's really easy if you let it be. There's an energy that people call eye of God energy. And there's versions of it in Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Judaism. And it's an energy that can just dissolve things, like a laser. It's this divine energy that it doesn't destroy things, but it turns them back into pure energy. It just releases them. And your miraculous self can just make a column of eye of God energy. Let me reword that. It's not making anything. Your miraculous self can call it in, because it just exists and we can all call upon it. And in a moment, we're going to have your miraculous self just call upon that eye of God energy, and it's going to appear in front of you. I mean, put it, not right next to you, but put it out towards the edge of your aura, towards the back of the room. And some people go, well, does it come in or does it come out? Does it come from the top? It's there. It's not there, then it's there. Don't make it that complicated. Your miraculous self knows how to do this. So imagine a giant gold ball of energy, and we're all inside of it right now. And it's this magical Loretta Brown podcast energy of transformation.
I love that.
And at the end, we're going to dissolve it. And let's just declare it's a space of miracles. Yeah, and it's not like it's a space of miracles. It's a space of miracles. It's a space where it's easy to dissolve and let go of old blocks, unconscious, energetic, and spiritual. It's a space where it's easy for your miraculous self to replace those blocks with wisdom, knowledge, concepts, skills, abilities, attitudes, and behaviors from your miraculous self. It's a space where you feel loved, acknowledged, appreciated, worthy. It's a space where you can feel in your body that somehow you are part of this vast unfolding. Even if it doesn't intellectually make sense to you, you can feel it. And it's a space of miracles and transformation and playfulness. So, and this is recorded. So just pick one thing for now. Pick one thing that you would like to enhance in your life, one area of your life. And you can always watch this again and pick something else. So pick the one thing and set your intention that what we're about to do or what we're doing now is going to really enhance that aspect of your life. And then give 100% permission to receive that enhancement. Give 100% permission for your miraculous self to be in charge and to do its magic. And then just imagine, pretend this whole symphony of energies is coming in to start work with you. And then give your miraculous self permission now to call upon the eye of God energy. And just imagine this energy like a column of energy is out in front of you, like a beacon. And give your miraculous self permission to send to that column unconscious programming, karma, contracts, whatever it wants to release, ancestral programming, societal programming, whatever it wants to release, limiting beliefs. And you don't need to know what they are consciously. Just let your miraculous self figure it out and just pretend they're going out to the column and they're getting transmuted to pure energy and released. And I like to entertain myself by seeing little symbols and squiggles and clouds and things going off. And to make it even better, sometimes you can't release something because there's something else blocking it. So maybe you have a belief you can't be successful, but underneath it is a belief that you're not worthy or that you should be punished. So let your miraculous self send off to that eye of God column anything that would block you from releasing what's blocking you. So anything that would block you from releasing what's blocking you. And send off to the column anything that would block you from releasing what's blocking you, from releasing what's blocking you. So at this point, your conscious mind just has to give up and go, okay, just do it.
Oh, goodness.
And give your miraculous self permission to send into that column or just to send into the earth any energies in your space that aren't yours and aren't helpful. So we're not going positive, negative, or any of that. Energies either yours or they're not. If they're not yours, they're helpful or they're not helpful. So not helpful energies are just going down into the earth. And of your own energies, some energies don't belong in present time. Old, painful, traumatic, emotional kind of energies. You want to keep the learnings, but you don't need to keep that energy because it doesn't belong in the present. So let your miraculous self start draining off old, emotional, traumatic, or painful energies that don't belong in the present. And we're not trying to get them all, just whatever goes off easily. Again, you can watch this again later. And then give your miraculous self permission to give you a download. So just like when you download into your phone or computer or tablet, you make sure it's a trusted source and then you just let it come in. Well, your miraculous self is a trusted source. Let your miraculous self now replace all of that with wisdom, knowledge, excuse me, wisdom, knowledge, concepts, skills, abilities, attitudes, and behaviors from your miraculous self. It will cause you to have a more and more wonderful life, a more miraculous life. And those downloads are going into your chakras, your energy channels. And by the way, you have a lot more than 7 chakras, and some are above your head, some are below your feet. And your miraculous self knows all about this. So let it work with your entire energy field to enhance it. Let it work with your cells and your DNA and your organs, and your body systems. And when you do an energetic NLP process, you'll be processing this for days, maybe longer, which is good. So let's have your miraculous self bring in energies to help you process and integrate the benefits into your life in as easy a way as is possible. Flowing, they're all positive, but still change sometimes can be bumpy. So we want to smooth that out and make the change comfortable, easy. Give the earth permission to ground you. The earth is stronger than we are. Just give it permission to ground you. So imagine a column of energy is coming up from the earth, and give the earth permission to ground only your authentic energy into your body. So to ground only your authentic energy into your body. And that grounding also can be used by your miraculous self to release energies into the earth and to bring up from the earth energies that are loving, nurturing, validating, energies of manifestation. So just let the earth bring up all that Mother Earth, Mother Nature energy into you. And then you can continue to release gently into the earth. And the earth just transmutes those energies. Let's dissolve our group energy space, that gold ball. Now it's very, 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 very important that you retrieve your energy out of everybody's space, particularly Loretta's and mine. So just kind of like calling a dog, ask your miraculous self, like, here, boy, no, here, girl, call back all your energies. And if there's any of those energies that your miraculous self doesn't want anymore, they just go into the earth, but call them back out of everybody else's space, and we'll get our energy out of your space. And then give your miraculous self permission to fill you up with more of your authentic essence and with supportive earth and universal energies. And again, filling your chakras, your energy channels, all the layers of your aura, your organs, your cells, your DNA, your body systems. And then begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Oh, yeah, we'll leave it there. Wiggle your fingers and toes and start to stretch and move. Because when your energy field realigns, your body wants to realign. So it helps if you move a little bit, stomping your feet, patting your body. Actually, rubbing the ears and pulling on them is a great way to release energies too. And it keeps you from being too serious because you look silly. and that's it.
Wow. I loved that so much, so very much. And wow, we are down to like the last minute. That was perfectly timed. To all the listeners, my goodness, do go back and get the recording of this. I know Art will agree with me. Anytime you listen to this, you will be in the energy of it. So energy doesn't care about time, space, and distance. Art, very quickly, we are really the last minute. Where can people find you? And I know you offer classes and all kinds of things. So
the best way, I have some free videos that are really transformative and powerful. And you go to blockbuster, the number 3, numeral 3.com. So blockbuster3.com. And then you sign up, you'll get the videos, you'll be on my mailing list. And I have a number of things coming up real soon. So you'll hear about all of that.
All right. Wow. Thank you, Art Giser. It was so fun to talk with you. It was so fun to play. It was so fun to do that wonderful work. I am ready. I am all ready for everything now. And please continue to be a beacon of inspiration and empowerment to everyone. Thank you so much. And to Benny, you're the best. To everybody out there, shine. Don't be afraid of this full moon lunar eclipse. Have some fun. Lighten up a little bit. And boy, hang on to your tinfoil hats because here we go. Have fun.